Hello, this is David. In this video, we're going to continue working on basic fundamental techniques that we're going to need when we do scientific research in the later chapters. Now this research is done in the form of testing, and we already did some research on match paired sales in the very first chapter of the book, because I wanted the appraisers to get right into it so it wouldn't be too boring to just talk about statistics. But we're going to do a lot more, and in order to understand how to do what I'm calling scientific research, we're going to have to learn about hypothetical or virtual markets, and that's primarily what we're going to do in this video. The second thing we're going to do is introduce basic market modeling. Now, when I say scientific research and we do a lot of testing, the main thing that defines it as scientific research is that it's repeatable. It's something that someone else can load up similar to what we're doing in a spreadsheet and get the same thing. Now let's take a look at what's on the screen. This is a hypothetical or virtual market. Now, this is not a model. This is a market. So the first thing you want to distinguish is a market and a market model. Now, usually the market data we use is real data out of the MLS or some data source if you're in commercial, and we use real data. Now, to do a lot of our research, we're going to use hypothetical or virtual markets for one single reason, because we have to know the answers when we start. Now, this is the result of a model that basically, hypothetical and virtual means that I just basically made up. And it is based on coefficients, and we'll show how we made this model. But it starts with, we've got 10 sales, there's a sales price, we have a gross living area, and garage quality and effective age. And that's what we're going to, in this virtual market, these are the only predictor variables. Now, how did I make it? Let's scoot this over, and okay. Now, for right now, what I did is I set up some coefficients. I set up the gross living area to be worth $100, each garage parking space to be worth $12,000, and the quality to be worth, each rating from a 1 to 3, add $5,000 for each rating, and for each effective age, I have here take off $3,000. Now you see, we didn't get into a lot of other things. We didn't get into location. We didn't get into, I was trying to think of something else, but we didn't get into a lot of other things. This is all we're basing it on. Now, I can get what's called an intrinsic price by going over and summing these up. So on sale 1, it is 1,728 square feet times 12,000. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, right here. It is times 100. So let's get back to gross living area. It is 1,728 square feet times 100. And so that's where I get this number. And you can see this is a formula. This is equal to J4 times D6, and that's D6. So I get this number for each of them, and I get the value of the gross living area based on 100, and then I do the same with the garage. For example, sale 2 is 2 garages times 12,000, that's 24,000. Okay, so I know what these are, and the quality for each rating I multiply times 5, and then I sum these up. I add up the 172,800, the 24,000, the 15,000, and I take away 45, and I get what's called an intrinsic price. Now, I got intrinsic price marked in orange, partially because I'm a University of Tennessee volunteer, but mainly I have it marked in orange. to remind me to cover this thoroughly. So the intrinsic price is the price, its true price or its actual price based on our market parameters. Now, is that realistic for a market, for a real market? And remember, we want to get away from using perfect markets because everything works out really well and it doesn't really help us in what we're trying to do. And the answer is no. An intrinsic price doesn't help us in what we're trying to do in research. We want to add some randomness to this intrinsic price, okay? So we're going to take like intrinsic price plus some randomness, and then that's going to be our hypothetical market price, okay? But when I say intrinsic price, I mean actual price. I don't mean plus the randomness. Now, what we've done in this, you can see we've used the random variance of from a -5 to a +5. And you've seen that before. It's not just a -5 or a +5. It's any whole percentage between that. It could be 0%, 1%, -3%, anywhere between. And randomly, this is thrown in. Just like in a real market. There's no reason for it. It's just totally random. And then when I take the intrinsic price plus the randomness, I get the price. So when I go back over to my hypothetical or virtual market here that we've got, let's make that a little bit bigger. When I get over to this is where this number comes from, the 158. So now this is a hypothetical market, but it's actually kind of a realistic made-up market. It's kind of realistically made up. Now let's go over one more time for some of you that may not be getting this. Let's just take sale 1. Now sale 1, gross living area was 1,728 square feet. And we multiplied that times 100. And what is this $100? It's our coefficient, it's the adjustment rate, you might say. It's the line item adjustment rate of $100 per square foot. And in this case, we call it a coefficient. But the important thing to remember now, it's marked in yellow. It's an intrinsic coefficient. Excuse me. And what I mean by that is, it's exactly what the coefficient should be. This is the intrinsic coefficients that we put them up here. So it's 1,728 square feet times 100. It's 2 garages times 12,000. It's the quality rating of 3 times 5,000. And then for each effective age, it's a -3,045. So then you get our intrinsic price of 168, same as we have here. And then we're going to take some random variance. And the last time it ran, it just happened to say take off 8,340. And then this is where we get our hypothetical market price. So the hypothetical market price is 158, and that's what we've used here, 158. And the the intrinsic price is 166. The intrinsic price is 166. Now, you probably won't be able to understand the analysis and things that we do later in the later part of the book if you don't understand how we just made this market up. So if that just kind of went over your head, that's what this video's for. Just go ahead and replay it once or twice until you get it. Now let me show you right here. In the book, we used this number set. Now this number set, I'm going to use the same number set in the book as we move forward from here rather than this, because you see every time I do something here, this changes because it randomly changes. So in order to get us back similar to what the book is, we'll go back to this set. Now this again is a hypothetical market that was set up, and it's not a real market, but because it's a hypothetical market, we know some things about this. We know these sales prices, we know those, but we also know the intrinsic prices, And we also know, maybe most important right now, we also know the intrinsic coefficients. And they're up here at $100, 12,000, 5,000, and a -3. So we know what they are. So when we try to, these are the things we try to normally extract. So now when I use something to try to extract them, I have a way to know how well that analysis did because I know the real answers. All right, I'm going to let you think about that, and if you need to, stop and watch this video again. Thank you very much.